obviously covered in wounds.
Fake being happy. Okay? I don't know if I can right now.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door. He's got duct taped around each ankle. He's obviously covered in wounds.
Fake being happy. Okay? I don't know if I can right now.
Listen, I don't know if I can right now either. Listen, I don't have a ton of words, not just off the top of my head for this. Tyra and I got the opportunity to watch this a little bit earlier, and it takes a lot for me to be lost for words. But when you see the aftermath, the outcome, what was happening to this baby, it puts you in your feelings. Tyra, I just need to know from you, are you ready to get into this? And how did you feel watching it?
I just feel like everybody failed these babies. Like, how do you fail multiple children? And for them to be failed with them all being on such a public platform, it's like this really no hope for the children who really aren't this noticed, the children who might not be the right complexion, the children like if these children were failed, how much hope is it for the other children who aren't so much in the spotlight and where there isn't as much proof? Like it was just so obvious that something was wrong, but unfortunately, it feels like nobody did anything.
Absolutely. And they didn't, y'all. But welcome to everyone who's here. Shout out to the 20 people already in the building. Y'all know what we're going to do. We are going to dive into this slide by slide, and I will give you just a little bit of background before we get in. If you don't know, Ruby Franke and Eight Passengers, which was her YouTube channel, became like a phenomenon like in the mid 2010s, where she decided that she was going to bring LDS culture to the world. She was going to highlight her family and show the world what it meant to be good LDS parents and how to raise these children, right? That was originally the goal. But there was more beneath the surface the whole time for me. Like, we knew. I'm just going to say this. Jody was a precipitating factor, but she wasn't the root cause. Ruby had issues from the beginning, Tyra. What do you think?
Oh, she was awful. She was awful. It just became a sense of maybe wanting, some acclaim, of course, wanting some money, of course. Once you get your first taste of that big YouTube check, then we was like, okay, how much and how hard do I have to push to continue this and keep this lifestyle going? And it just seems like it all spiraled from there. But there's always like looks to be an underlining of something ain't right.
Something definitely wasn't right. I could look in that heifer's eyes and tell y'all something wasn't right with her, period, from the very beginning. But as a docu-series, you guys, this was a three-part docu-series released by Hulu. Tyra, in the world of docu-series, in the world of documentaries, how did this stack up for you? And what were your overall thoughts after watching the three parts?
Why did it have to be three parts? Why did it have to be three parts? It seems like we kind of take the sting out of these stories. There's a tendency to not like, I don't know, something's wrong now with just being a regular old doc where you just get hour and a half, 2 hours of a story, and then that's it. There's a need to stretch it out and have three, four, five, and six parts. And that can kind of slow down the momentum and the engagement for the concern that you should have for this story or for these children, because there's a need to stretch it out. Even though we do, in a sense, need to start with Ruby, where Harry met Sally, and then we got to YouTube, and then we had all these children XYZ and hit all these points. It doesn't take 3 episodes of something. This could have been, one small thing, but it's okay. We got what we needed to get. I wish they hadn't stretched it out, but we stuck it out, and I'm glad that, because I didn't know who this woman was. I didn't know anything about this story until you mentioned it, and then it was kind of nice to go back and reflect on what once was YouTube, especially with us being in this space so actively. It was like, oh, child, we would have been like 5 minutes earlier, because it didn't take much.
Totally different.
Totally different money. It didn't take much to go viral or get traction and really get people invested in your stock enough for them to donate and you to get sponsorships and you to get all these brand deals and all this, just like, and it just spirals into all of this success. That was nice to see. And it was just it was I don't know, a stock in the barrel of all of these husbands that we are meeting.
Oh, Lord.
And where are you finding these husbands? Where are you guys finding these husbands? Kind of in a sense of the even though that's a completely different case than Natalia Gray situation. I'm like, where are these men born and bred it to where all of this could happen and they could be so complacent along with so many other people? But it was interesting enough to keep me there, and I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I think unless it's going to be a super hard hitting where we're diving deep and uncovering multiple layers to the story, I don't think everything requires a docu-series. And I get it, especially when it comes time for award season. You want to be looped in certain categories, docu-series versus documentary. And I'm assuming that has something to do with it. I'm also assuming it has to do with the deals they sign with the streaming platforms for content. But this, to me, I think they glossed over some things we really needed to dive deep in.
Yeah.
I think there's some things we still don't know, which we should have known. And we'll tap into a little bit at the end of this live. But yeah, overall, it was fine. It was a story I wasn't super familiar with. Like I said in my upload, I had heard about the escape of the baby on TikTok, like sometime in 2023, around when it happened, because they were releasing the footage, and it was a big thing in the mom blogger, family vlogger space. That's just never been a space that I've occupied, honey.
I don't know.
I would never-
And then another issue was it catered to feeling surface level because we have neighbors here. And it's like, where y'all people stay? Where's your family? Where are the people closest to the situation who would have hopefully had stock to want to infer about where these children were, try to rescue them? We're only talking to neighbors and people who are in on these He-Man Woman Haters Club. I was like, where is everybody? But then again, this story seems pretty fresh. When they started showing dates, I was like, oh, this is pretty recent. Maybe we need a little bit more time to cook before we bust out with the docuseries.
Yeah, and that's what I think, because Peacock has released one. I watched that. 2020, of course, has had one already, which they were just really quick, an hour, but they barely scratched the surface. And how could you? Because, I mean, half of the children at this point aren't even of age for you really to address what was going on behind the scenes. The two oldest children who would have been able to give any reliable account were put out before, the heinous. I think she was doing heinous stuff before, but you're right. And as far as these damn mealy mouth, weak back, no leading men, I don't know where they came from. I don't know where they found him, but we're going to dive into Kevin because I ain't got it to do with Kevin. But welcome everyone who's in here. Welcome to the 33 people. Feel free to drop in and let us know what you thought about this doc. Come on, engage with us tonight. All right. But I wanted to start here with who is Ruby Franke. It took me after this doc going down the rabbit hole, Tyra, to even know she had kinfolk. And knowing that she's LDS, they tend to have larger families, right? Because it's part of the belief system. The larger the family, I'm not gonna get all into that. But turns out she has a sister who's also a content creator, who be on the TikTok and on the YouTube and everything else. And that was my question as well, Tyra. Where was the family? Where were the mothers, the fathers, the grandparents, the cousins, the everything else? Where were they to give an account? Or is it what happens in this family stays in this family?
I think some of this was maybe a little telling and embarrassing. They could have known about it, but much with, these type of scenarios, like we're going to disassociate, not only for the family, but like you said, there's a sister. How many of them were benefiting from this situation? How many of them may have been, having the same practices? And if we are, trying to be, I guess, in the industry and have our own platforms, I'm going to disassociate from that. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want her to affect my brand. So I don't want to, talk about it or engage in a doc or tell my truths about it. But I just think it says a whole lot. There's privacy, whatever, at this point, to where if you don't want to be a part of the doc, you don't want to be a part of it. But at least in the doc, from what we could see, there was never a mention of what grandma came by and this, that, and the third. Or, the husband's mother had said that, they were trying to inquire about where the children were and how they were doing and why he was out of the home living in his apartment, like for a year. There's never any of that. It's just like Ruby Frank and they're this solo entity and structure, just trying to reach heights on YouTube and whatever else before it just goes all the way completely off the rails. But yeah, we don't, what do we really know about her beyond what we're seeing here and on social media? We can't really infer back, and we can't depend on that husband of hers or ex-husband at this point to, engage in any way, because even still to this moment of the separation or divorce, it still seems like, maybe if she got out today, you would be, standing out front with bags, waiting to get your wife. My wife. I want my wife. I love my wife. I just want my wife. Like, what about your children? Yeah, it's very fishy that we don't see or hear from anybody.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that the truest probably account that we received from anyone, because unfortunately the oldest son, Chad, was still under the spell of both Judy and Ruby, just as the husband, so pee-whipped. I've never seen, well, I can't say I've never seen anything like it, but these last 6 months or so, I've seen like the barrage of the weak husbands. And I'm like, what did you do? But apparently, Tyra, let Kevin tell it, Ruby was that girl. Okay. Everybody wanted her. Okay. She was, one of the plastics and everybody loved her.
Not the plastic.
Well, I mean, basically she had a starting lineup. They met in their late teens. In the LDS culture, they let us know that it's wise to get married early, to start your family young. And so, you're courting, you're lining up the suitors. And so Kevin says that she had a whole lineup. She had a chart made with the qualities that she wanted in her husband, and she had names at the top. And he said he made the list. Okay.
Oh,
Kevin in the
God.
next slide. So,
You're now one of my lead employees.
Nice. But yeah, so we get that she was very by the book, very organized, very organized. I think her first video was about how to organize and plan for a large family. Again, she was embedded deeply in her Mormonism and wanted to show the world their way of life. And once she got a wild hair, they said she had tenacity like no other. She was going to do her best to become the best at whatever it was. But what I saw, from what I can see, based on the little clips we saw, the true accounts, the accounts from Sherry, her oldest daughter, Ruby wasn't tight from the beginning. Ruby was beating them kids from before. You ain't gonna make me believe anything different, allegedly. But no, I don't think she was tight. With the interaction we saw, not only with her children, but with Kevin, even at the beginning days of YouTube, like, that's all you got, Kevin? I'm asking you to have
Do it
a
again.
conversation with me, Kevin. Oh, you're tired? Who cares? Who says I'm not tired? All right? Like get to it. I think Ruby had issues from the very beginning. Do you think there was always this undercurrent with her? And what do you think about her having a starting lineup? I was confused.
Why? It never ceases to amaze me how we will go up for the most generic of the whitest woman. I was like, what? If
Right.
girl, now look. If Ruby was that girl, I would give it to her regardless of the behavior. I'm like, well, Ruby, okay, it's not giving that, so I don't understand. It's not giving that.
Right.
Like, I'm like, well, hell, if she had the starting lineup, like, what was the the scale? I don't know about this circle and what's what, but to each his own. Somebody saw something in her to give her that. I could never. But there was always something. As a parent watching this and being on YouTube, I can relate to the parts of pause. I know y'all hear me making a video. How rude. Can you just simmer down? Y'all know, like, there's a production happening. But I would never push that onto my children and bring them into this space to capitalize on it and go, okay, run it again. Do it again. We need recess lighting in here. Do it again. Can't you perk up? Let's like, I was like, and it makes you question all of the other channels that are family oriented channels, because who says that, these children want to be here and it's just organic and we're just capturing everything in a moment, or if you're just made to turn something on because we're trying to, keep these deals coming in, like cut it on, be happier than that, perk it up. We need this engagement. Like, if we have to do that and push these children that hard, like there's a question of it. I think YouTube is the new kind of amalgamation of like stage mom,
Mm-hmm.
but
For
in the
sure.
worst way possible, because at least with the stage mom, somebody might catch you like, "Girl, you see how she?" No, we don't see nothing. We only see what you present on camera to us, and then there isn't anything organic with it because the branding is built off of this structured, do well, happy. Oh, we're just the perfect little white family, and this is how we do things, and I'm making life easier, and here's our scheduling chart. It's just not. Oh, it's just our kids in the moment. It's just like, no, there's a need to be perceived a certain way. So for you to get your children like up to par, and there has to be a hint of abuse with it, and it's not just physical abuse, but the verbal, the emotional. Do it again. I was like, oh my god, Ruby, ew,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
heifer. She's a heifer.
But yeah, and we'll of course get into it with Chad. But watching the second doc that I watched, and I think they address it a little bit in this one when they talk about the 6-year-old baby who went to school and forgot their lunch, forgot their money, and the teacher calls Ruby and is like, "Yeah, your baby doesn't have food. Can you bring her lunch up here?" No. If she forgot it and she didn't bring money for it, then she just won't eat. She'll be hungry until I get back later. She tells the story on YouTube as if it's something that she's proud of. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't play that. Like, if she forgot it, that's her responsibility at 6, Tyra, to pack her lunch. Now you raising 2 children and
Mhm.
they've been 6. Would you trust that baby to make their own lunch and
Girl,
remember it?
hell no. If they want a bag of snacks, so you're just gonna take the box of fruit snacks, that's your lunch, and a Pop Tart? No, I'm not at all entrusting that. But there is a way, like especially with Ruby, I'm sure those kids, it would have been no skin off of her back to do it. There was always this need to maybe probably early on prove a point, and where it wasn't so much the physical discipline, it was the verbal, or the I'm taking this away, or I'm gonna teach you a lesson, because like, what, girl, what are you doing? It's not even that deep. It's not even that deep. But once again, what is your background and your upbringing like for you to think that these things are okay?
Come on. And that's what we needed. Next time, if you guys go deeper and do another doc, that's what we need. I need her childhood. I need to know what this heifer was raised up into, because I know based on some of these other docs that I've seen out there in Utah, there's some wild stuff that goes on, Tyra,
Always Utah.
in the child. Always. Utah, Idaho,
Arizona.
Arizona, Mexico. Like, look, okay. And so now I want to talk about who is Kevin Franke. Kevin Franke was a stalker from the beginning. He went into this lady's room. He stole her notebook, wrote down everything she said in there feverishly, and said he was going to change and conform himself into everything she wanted because he knew he wanted to be her husband, Tyra. As soon as I heard that, I said, this maniac was as unhinged as she was, because who does that?
it was it's just such desperation coming off of Kevin. Like we said, we don't get a whole lot within the doc, but just off the surface, what we saw of him, say you ain't never have no cat without saying you ain't never had no cat. Like, I don't have time, sir. I don't have time. Clearly, this is a man who was not confident within himself. And it just, I'm like, you chose this man for a reason.
Mhm.
Ruby. They have a talent of, singling out a situation that they can manipulate. So eventually when I do begin to just, it's me calling the shots, controlling the relationship, controlling the family, controlling the household. Yeah, go to your apartment and disappear for a year because I said so. All of that stacked with his lack of just knowing or having a purpose beyond, she chose me.
Mhm.
She chose me. I got picked. Like, it was very pathetic and really sad because that if nobody's gonna vie like and vouch for the kids and go like what you're doing is wrong, you're gonna expect for it to be the significant other. Like one of these parents are gonna have some common
Yes.
sense. But he was up her behind so much that whatever she says goes, even if she could have told this man the sky was purple. He go, you know what? I ain't never seen purple like that. Like
Right.
he was just gonna accept everything. And I think she knew that about him, and that's why we decided to get with him in the first place. Him and all this, it was just love and our spark and our love. I was like, no, you were a simp, and you are a mark.
Yeah. And somebody she could run over. Again, even in the little clip we see of how she's speaking to him his first time on video. Is that all you have, Kevin? Like, I need, what are you doing? We need more. Like, we talk a lot about male groomers, especially those older men who like younger women, but it's very rare that we talk about these women who are very controlling and domineering, and they select men like this. They know they can run over him. They know that they can say whatever they want, and he is going to still want to drink her dirty bathwater. Because I was so shocked at the end of it when, after hearing the account of everything, and we'll get into it in detail, after hearing the account of everything, he was like, oh yeah, I still miss her.
Yeah.
I still miss her. No, not my Ruby. No, my Ruby would no. Here's the pictures. No, I don't.
I don't see it. I don't know what. Get it out of my face.
I just couldn't believe it. I just,
He can't.
sorry,
He
sorry.
can't. Eight passengers. Ooh.
Yeah. So now she comes to the conclusion that the family vlog channel is what she wants to do, right? This is going to be her way. And she says she starts out, she's getting 2 views, 20 views, no money. And the husband says, listen, I knew instantly with his little PhD he got that she was going to do everything to be the biggest, the baddest in this space, whatever it took. And he said that he was kind of against it until he saw her first check for $88. And
Yeah.
that's when he said, oh, we can make money here? Like, I'm all aboard. Whatever you want to do to my kids, whatever, however you want to work them. And so they build this brand, right? She's posting every day. They said, well, not every day, but I think she said her first year she had posted 160 videos, vlogs, and she was growing. Ultimately, at her height, I believe she was at 2.8 million. She'd gone from making $88 a month to well over $100,000 a month from AdSense, from brand deals. But listen, that space is right.
We could just get a
Here's the
little.
thing. Being that we're both on YouTube, and I know people have different feelings about the family vlogging space. And here's my thing. I'm not for exploitation of any kind, especially as it relates to children. I think that it's one thing if you have a vivacious child who wants to enter like arts and entertainment, and this is the life that they're choosing. I think it's fine up until a point, right? But I think that when we get into this space and we see very inappropriate breastfeeding videos, like I've seen so many exploitative videos from mommy vloggers, or
I've never watched them. I wouldn't know.
oh no, I've seen like the exposés about it, but from filming the discipline of your child to the time they wake up in the morning to the time they go to bed, family vacations. It's not a vacation. This is work. And we saw this in the doc. And I want to know from you as a YouTuber, but not in this space, would you have ever considered being a family vlogger? And how do you feel about people who use their children as content?
Never. Never. It never because if any parent with kids, especially when you have multiple kids, the entertainment just unveils itself on a daily basis. They're just doing stuff and they're just hella entertaining. But it would never be something where I would feel comfortable posting my children or having them. Like, it's one thing if they go and they're old enough to go, Mom, can I start? Like, sure, as long as it's, appropriate. If that's what you want to do and how you want to spend your time, go ahead. But me as a mom, I don't have the time. Like, I don't want to have the time or expose my children in that way. YouTube and social media is a place.
Listen.
This is a place, and it's one thing to be cute, like, oh, we got a little, 200K. No, you have millions of people watching you grow, dissecting things, saying things. Like, it's just too many ramifications that I wouldn't want to deal with as a parent or want to have to explain away to my children or expose them in this way.
Mhm.
And it's something else if it's something they want to do. I still wouldn't want to, but these children never wanted to.
Mm-mm.
They never wanted to, and I don't know. I don't like it. It's something about the family channels, the relationship channels, selling those things. I don't get it. I don't find any entertainment in it, and it just always felt like an underlining of being performative. And when it gets to the point of being performative and you're trying to capitalize on certain moments, you have to manipulate things to make stuff happen, and then it's just curated, and then it's just too much. I would never want to get lost in that or have a channel or something depending upon how my children are interacting or performing. They might come home one day, Mama, I don't want to do that tonight, Mommy, I just want to go to bed. I don't want to film. I don't want to. Mom, can you? And then, no, we're doing it. You just see these views? Pipe up, stand up, let's go. Like, no, I'm not. I'm just not. Like, why would you want to put that pressure on yourself or your kids? So I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. Now, if they're older, like, maybe the older children in these photos, and that still wouldn't, it's just too much, then that's something. But it would be off of, your technical skills, what you want to do, what you want your channel to be about, and what you want to conversate about, not me curating a family of, 8 passengers. We all have to be active and on high alert every single time I decide to put a camera in your face every day. That's insane.
Yeah, and be on and can't complain and can't say, I don't want to do this, because at this point, this is your primary source of income. This is how
Yeah.
you're paying your mortgage. This is how you're buying food. This is how you're subsidizing their lives. And so you say, no, I'm paying you $10 a video. That's enough. I'm paying you $10 a video, and you don't have any rights at this point. I'm the parent, you're the child, and you have to do what I say. I just think it's a slippery slope and it's dangerous. Me, on the other hand, I do like a good vlog. Don't get me wrong. I like a good morning routine, a clean with me, a good cleaning motivation video. It gets me there. But again, I'm just not heavy on using your children for views and content. And so ultimately we find out that all of the videos primarily that got the views were with Chad. Because, and I think there's something deeper when you talk about the ramifications of having 2.8 million followers, and you're showing your kid in all aspects of life, you run into an issue of predators.
Yeah.
And your child or children potentially being targeted. You're showing their faces. I mean, we're doing this blurred out because I'm not going to have any babies' faces over here. But you're showing your children's faces. You live in a small community. They know where you live. Like, there's just too many possibilities for danger in my book.
Yeah, I thought that was jealousy on their part because baby, they weren't checking for whatever you were presenting as just the mommy vlog and my daily and my whatever. Of course, you got your notoriety later to branch off when the kids like, okay, well now, but initially it was about the children, about Chad, and I think there was some deep resentment with Chad, like towards him, because you're the one they want to see. So you better cut it on since you're the one they want to see. And that's for either one of them. Like it was that I think she was jealous, and that's why it felt like before we got to the end, she was the hardest on him.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of Chad, and you see it in the intro. If you go back and watch the intro, I have the little clip in there. Well, she's like, "We act happy," and he's like, "I don't know if I can." Like, this is heartbreaking because you see this little 12, 13-year-old boy who's tired. He doesn't want to do this, and so basically, they're in the space. He's complaining. Never once does mom or dad say, Chad, we see this is taking an emotional toll on you. We see your behavior has changed. You don't have to do this. You don't have to film. You don't have to do any of that if that's not the space that you're in or anything like that. We never get that. It's Chad, you better suck it up. You better fix your face. You better do what I tell you or whatever. And so ultimately, Chad is sick and tired. He said, he's like, I wasn't misbehaving. He said, I just wasn't listening to any adults.
Yeah. I just didn't listen to them. God, I'm tired.
I'm tired. And so he's acting out more and more. And so Ruby is like, fine, you want to act out? I'm taking your bed. I'm taking the door. She'd already taken all the electronics, everything else. You're going to sleep on the floor with a bean bag, a bean bag with a sheet. And so they slip up one day. They're having a conversation on the vlog, and she's like, have I ever given you anything back before 6 months? I don't think I have. And he's like, yeah, you haven't. You didn't give me my bed back. I still don't have my bed back. And she was like, I don't think the audience knows that. He's like, yeah, you took my bed. I've been sleeping on the beanbag. And so this is where we enter the cancellation of Ruby and them. Okay. We enter the cancellation of Ruby. YouTube is over. The stock has plummeted, Tyra. They're losing brand deals left and right. You're a horrible parent. First, we hear about the 6-year-old baby and the lunch. Now, Chad is sleeping on a beanbag in the basement. Talk to me about this form of discipline. And it was almost like a pride that she had when she was sharing that. Did you think she knew the backlash she was about to get?
She didn't, because what? She's what? She didn't. Once you that's also the slip up and the disadvantage of putting yourself on such a public platform and getting so comfortable. Eventually you get too comfortable to where it's like, oh, we can do and say and vlog whatever, and it's just going to be whatever, because they know at the end of the day, these people know who I am. I'm always doing the right things by my kids, even if it's idiotic and the crime never fits the punishment, and I'm doing the freaking girl $10. And then it was never like any motivation. But if your kids don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. But especially with Chad, like, Chad, college fund, and I'm building something off for you to the side, to where when you guys, get off, and we work hard now, so we don't have to work. It was just like, I'm gonna give y'all $10.
That part.
I was like, well, how selfish. And then of course we have Chad begin to act out, and she's never taken into consideration that he's acting out because he's sick and tired. They had to literally say out of their mouth, we don't want to do this anymore, Mom.
I'm tired.
Get the camera out of my face, Barbara. I don't want to see it. Get it out of my face. And then it's just like, oh, so you don't want it, and then you're acting out. And then we take this twisted these themes and the therapist and all of these things, and put these into Chad's head, to where it's like, well, I didn't do my homework, and I talked back to a teacher, and I walked out of class, so I must be, innately evil, and I'm doing. I was like, and he begins to believe this, because they're in this thread, in this bubble of just family all the time, and content and filming, and then you take it out on him. I'm sure the other kids too, because your cash cow here, he doesn't want to do it anymore. And it was just awful. But I was happy. Like, how much longer would it have went on if he didn't say, like, yeah, I'm, sleeping on the floor. You took my bed. You took this. You took that. Like, it could have kept going, because people are none the wiser. I'm glad that he, did say something. But it's unfortunate that she played mind games with him so bad, to where it was just like, whatever you say, whatever you do, it's righteous, because I'm bad and I need to be fixed.
Absolutely. And I mean that these are the dangers of dogma in a lot of spaces. And that could be a whole other live for a whole other day, but we can't help but address the faith principle in this, because your parents are right before God. So whatever they say is law. And Ruby was going to make sure that her kids believed that whatever she said, whether she said they were demonic, they were possessed, they were evil, right? She was going to do everything to instill that. And Kevin was going to just be there with that stupid grin on his face the entire time. So now YouTube is over. Chad is still acting out. She's basically got to figure out what's going to happen now. And she says that now she's going to use her platform for the Lord. Okay, she's going to be doing her devotions over there. This took me back down to bare bones. I decided to quit the family vlog, because let's not get it twisted. The WW victimhood, the WW tears were just beginning in Ruby's situation over here, especially as the money dwindled. Now we're entering Jody, right? And we're pivoting. Okay. So now that Chad is still acting out, he needs a therapist. We need some spiritual counsel, some guidance. We're going to go to what we think is a licensed psychologist. Ruby, or damn, Jody don't have no license in anything. She has no license in counseling, in psychology, in any sort form of treatment whatsoever. But she's got this life coaching program called Connections. And I guess that Ruby was prime for the plicking. They decide that they're going to send Chad to a wilderness camp after Jody meets with him, I guess weekly, and they're basically impressing the same things into him. Chad, if you touch yourself, you're bad, even though he's going through puberty and adolescence, right? If he's watching something, he's full of lust and full of demons. So they send him to wilderness camp. And if you don't know anything about wilderness camps, there's a great documentary called The Program on Netflix. Watch that because
Girl.
it's still a thing, honestly, which is sickening that there are still places like this that exist where you send these children there, and basically they're abused, they're mishandled, they're starved, they do everything that they can in the wilderness. They're carrying bricks. It's all manner of evil, right? And so Jody's here, and what's getting to me, Tyra, is Jody didn't do anything. Now, they did on the dock have one of her close interns, I guess, during the time, who was learning under her, who said that she had an appeal, especially to the LDS Mormon women. She knew how to press on that guilt. She knew how to press on that religious conviction. And she got into their lives, got into their marriages, broke up families, broke up homes, broke up relationships with children, all because she could. Tyra, could Jody tell you anything? And what do you think about Ruby's quick allegiance to Jody and accepting everything she says as law?
Girl, Jody couldn't sell me water. She couldn't give me water on the hot. You know the water boys to be on the court. Girl, Jody couldn't give me nothing. Okay, it just baffles me how give a white woman, white man, a hotep, a misogynist, a microphone in a platform, and let's see who all takes the bait. Like, just what the ideology that she was building it off of and the things that she was saying and presenting to these women, you would think that like no one in their more, I'm not gonna go into it because I don't know, everything, the ins and out of the Mormon culture to know why they were so susceptible to everything she said. But everything was just so jaded. And it's like nothing, my life didn't work out. My career didn't work out. My husband, my children, on speaking, none of that worked out for me. So I'm going to try to taint everything that I can get my hands on. Whoever I can take down on this ship, I will. If you listen to me, let's go. And Ruby, for me, I just felt like she was gravitating towards, I really needed to know Ruby's history and her upbringing at home. Mm-hmm. I really need to know those things because the way that Ruby acts is as if something was kept from her and she was deprived. And there was this sense of, payback, acting out, proving a point. And maybe I'm like, are you pushing down on your children? Were you pushed down on? Like, I need to know everything. But it says a whole lot about the Mormon space that so many of them, along with the husband, they were just in it. They were just in it. And it was just, everything was okay. This He-Man Woman Haters Club, because that's what it was. And just to see those men and those husbands all in those boxes on that screen, and she's telling you everything from you're trash, you suck, you ain't gonna be nobody, you're terrible, you're an awful person, get it together. I was like, and they're just there like, yeah, I was like, what is happening? Why? But I think she aligned herself with what she mirrored. I think they got together because she saw some of herself in Jody and something she wanted to mirror. And there was also, the underlining of, box meeting box, because we ain't gonna act like they weren't sleeping together.
Oh, yeah,
they kind of hinted at that a little bit in the doc, like, no, my question is how long, because that really would give us a window into why you were hanging on to every thread and why you would rope your family, Chad, your husband, weave him in with her, because the closer we are, because I am Mormon, I wouldn't want to be out here being, but if it looks a certain way and if it looks like I'm doing this for gain or money or the platform, and we're working and we're business partners, and nobody will be the wiser. I really think that was the bigger picture,
I mean,
especially when we get into the separate living situation in the quarters. Like it seems despicable that we would go through all of this because we wanted to have our cake and eat it too. Like literally eat the cake. Eat the cake, girl. Like, and
yeah.
it's like we're projecting all of this onto our offspring. You're evil. If you do this, you're evil. And you're because you're acting in the way that throughout your Mormon culture tells you that you're doing this and you're loving on a doing whatever you guys were doing together. This is inherently bad, and you're bringing these evil spirits and entities. Like you were projecting this entire time because you wanted to be with Jody. Girl, go sit down.
Yeah, and it was definitely that because there was heavy scissor energy. Like we're not going to act like that wasn't her man, her man, her man, her woman, her woman, her woman. But we know that from the beginning, and we actually get to talk to other people in this connections life coaching situation. And excuse me, I misspoke. She at one point did have a therapist license and lost it, so
Yeah.
she's no longer licensed. But she says that, well, the other people in the group says because they were all vying to be at the top, right? All of these women were in position and wanted to be close to Jody because she had influence apparently. But she basically put Ruby on a pedestal because of the platform, right? Because she had a following, because she had influence. And so other people even sounded kind of disgruntled to this day, like, oh, they get up and have talks, right? Kevin and Ruby, and they don't know as much as we do. They don't even understand the concepts or the practice of distortion and truth, which are their two flagship words, right? But this was definitely about growing Jody's business. Jody knew that Ruby was her mark, and she wanted more
Oh
than just
God.
that. So again, enter because we got to talk about it. So enter again, Jody, now moving into the house because we need this therapist in house with us to manage the life and times of our families. It wasn't good enough that I'm accepting all of the counsel from you. Now I need you in my space. And before we get into that, let me get this super chat. Thank you so much, Hype Green 05 for the $5 super chat. Jody and the massage oils, I can't listen. And that's why they put
Super candles and
that's why
massage
they
oils
put
on the
Sherry
end
out.
tables.
That's why they put Sherry out. Sherry said, listen, something ain't right with her. You moving her in with my brothers and sisters. I don't like it. And Ruby told Sherry, if you don't like Jody, something's wrong with you. You have something to hide, so you need to get out of my house. Matter of fact, pack up your room because I'm going to give her your room. Soon after that, Kevin and Chad got to go. But before that, right, she starts if you've ever been in a space where you deal with demons or possession or anything like that, they would say that she was manifesting in this moment. Basically, the evil spirit that was inside of her was manifesting, talking about, I own her, speaking some gobbledygook. I want to tell you, this was a faux demonic possession. This was all a tool that this heifer used so that she could get all the grown folks out of that house except for her and Ruby. Tyra, it'll take you to talk about it because when when the scene came on,
Girl, it was so funny to me. I was like, what the hell are you doing if y'all don't get this broad up out of here? Like, it was the production of it all. And I was like, and they're like, oh, give her air, give her space. Oh, everybody pack up. I was like, this really, even though we saw the behavior and everything doing the streams and Ruby and the behavior, the fact that any of them would allow this in their space just lets you know how far gone the parents were. You're already hurting at the aspect of Chad going, oh, I just trust Jody so much, and she said X, Y, and Z, and she has my best interest at heart because she's just been poured on me and, claiming she told me I was lying, and I was really lying, so that means, oh, she's in touch with a higher power. Girl, like this magician, this magic show, like this was insane. And it was all for what? The way that Ruby was always having her way. Ruby was never not having her way. There was never not going to be an opportunity to go, I'm moving her in. This is, y'all man, woman, daddy, friend, sister. This is y'all everything, your confidant, the pastor, the preacher, the therapist. And this is just what it is. It's also my partner. what Kevin was gonna say no.
He was never gonna say.
This was all for show. But the fact that they just let it get to this point, and then Kevin's like, "Oh well, there was this handprint on the window." I was like, "Boy, Kevin, boy, you're in the middle of nowhere. If a bird flew out and hit that damn window, that's the window's business. If she went out and smacked the window and left an imprint, she's like, oh God." It's like, oh, that it was an elf on the shelf moment. How do we know it was a demon? I was like, you know what? It just doesn't take much convincing with this family. And then, the smaller children are none the wiser. Chad is underneath his thumb, thinking that even with this possession here, we're only here because, oh, you were fornicating and hanging out with girls and, pleasuring yourself. So now you project this. You need to go.
Yeah, because they got it in their mind. Ruby says, well, that's why Jody's having these demonic, situations, because this house is full of demons. Y'all have to get out because Jody can't possibly be wrong. It's you. You're the problem. And matter of fact, you're so much the problem that the only way I can stop these manifestations of her demons is I need to be sleeping in the room with her, Tyra.
Yeah. Just like she just left and she started sleeping in the room with Jody, and she said she needed to be in there, and I just, whatever she needed to do, I was gonna support her in that. So Kevin, Miss Green, Kevin, go away. You're useless, Kevin. I'm so sorry.
And again, so that meant, of course, the eldest had to go, Chad and Sherry. Now, Sherry's something totally different. Okay. Sherry gonna be the only one that's gonna give it to you straight, no chaser. She said Kevin and Ruby can go directly to the hot place. I'm calling him Kevin. I'm calling her Ruby. I'll never call them mom and dad again. I don't have a mom and dad at this point. They can be gone. And Sherry honestly was the only one with sense. I'm like, how is she the only one in this entire household with any sense? After she leaves, she's doing welfare checks. Like, I think my siblings have been left in the house for 4 days. The neighbors are calling me. Tyra, I wanna ask you, because Sherry was the oldest, can you imagine the burden that she went through, not only knowing that something's changed in the household? Like, she always knew her mama was nasty. She says that. Like, Ruby always had a damn mean streak, but it was amplified to this level. So now I'm put out. I have no way of contacting my younger siblings to check on their well-being. And I have to pull it all together. I have to pull it all together regarding the rejection, the abandonment, the being thrown away basically by not just my mom, but my dad and everybody else, and lied on, saying that I'm demonized, that I have these secrets, that I'm doing all of this. What did you think of Sherry as we met her? And how do you think she's coping with this?
I felt really sorry for Sherry. I felt sorry for her and Chad, because you would think with her and Chad kind of being, closer in age and the elder, like there would be some type of revelation to go, my mom is inherently effed up. Let me kind of join forces and support my sisters, so maybe we can gain some support for our younger siblings and somebody can be a voice and vouch for them, because clearly Kevin's not going to do it. To be cast out like that, she could have easily become just as complacent and worn down as Chad or even Kevin. Like, we're leading by example. If my own father can't even, vouch for us, stick up for, like, what am I going to do? Especially when you're so dependent on the money, your family has worked for. And now, since you are inquiring a bit too much, now you're cut off. It was one thing to cut Sherry off financially, to just completely remove her from the family, and it's, yeah, she's off limits. If I catch you talking to her, it's over. Nobody talks to Sherry. I was, what the hell? And she didn't give up. That takes a really strong-minded person. But even with as strong-minded as Sherry is, or even, you can clearly see Chad is still working through some things. Chad is going to need a little bit more time, because he's still just under kind of being flabbergasted of what it all really was. And but my mom's and my dad, everybody, they told me one thing and it's not that. So everything I've known all my life is a lie. Who am I? What was it all for? Sherry she's kind of flippant in the doc and kind of laughing things off, and it's like kind of laugh at, trying to laugh to get through the pain. And it's these are things that are just gonna be ramified just throughout their life. There's never going to be a moment where any of these children aren't dealing with what happened to them and how they were treated. And it's just really, really sad that they have to do this much work to move on in their lives. And what hurt me the most that is that even here there was never any resolve of where Chad and Sherry and Kevin, they're all just kind of, in a better place. They're all it was just like, no, I'm still kind of dealing with my mom said we couldn't talk to you. How do I know you're not in on trying to make her look like it feels like it feels really unfinished, and it feels like Sherry is still kind of out here on her own, and that's just really disappointing.
It really is, because you can tell, and that's what the danger of indoctrination. And Tatiana, you're right. Ruby was running a cult. Jody was running a cult, because there is a supreme leader, and you go based on the word of that leader as law in your life in a cult situation. And that's exactly what was happening here. I think Chad has been so brainwashed and so indoctrinated for so long that, again, he's still like, even when he looks at pictures of his mom and Jody all hugged up, booed up, he's like, yeah, they were best friends. That was our best friend, you know? Yeah, no. Jody really helped me. I'm trying to reconcile how she can be this monster, but she loved me. Like, we had a great relationship. No, she exiled you to a wilderness camp. She forced you to move out on your own with nothing. Thank God he ended up finding a career or path and influencing himself, where he has his own autonomy in it. But hell, like, the lasting effects, and that's what was the most heartbreaking, Tyra. When we finished this out completely, I was like, and I hate to use the word ruin, because I do think as long as people have breath, there's room, there's time, there's a way to change. But the inherent damage that was done to all of these children beyond what we even know, it's going to take immense amounts of counseling, of therapy, of having good relationships. And I can't wrap my head around what that process is going to look like for them. Imagine, like, I can't even imagine being locked away, told you're evil, you're a demon, being tortured. And we'll get to it. We'll get to
You're
it.
exiled. You're just gone. And then
Yeah.
Sherry's just, you figure it out. You're cut off. I was like,
Yeah. Hyper Green, thanks again for the $5 super chat. Sherry was the only one in line, the day God gave out brains. Prove me wrong. Baby, I can't. Because as it stands, she the only one that has sense in my mind. The
Sherry
only
was the
one
one
that said,
voicing when they was in that van. Mom, get that camera. We don't want to do it anymore. We're tired.
oh my gosh. Yeah. And they, the folks, the love a good banishing, a good
Yeah.
shunning, a good
And then it's
disown.
just like I like that, at least Sherry was trying to, voice, and then you voice your concerns, and it amounted to nothing.
Hmm.
Like, you think me as a sibling, and I hated that phone call where they were like, well, how did you talk to your mom? She's like, well, I'm kind of, removed and cut off from the family right now, so that's a little impossible. But can you go do a welfare check on my younger siblings? I don't know how they're doing. And it's just like, it just took, I was like, is this the process to get anybody to just go infer to check on some children? Is this what you have to do?
And still not even really do it. Oh, we knocked. We knocked. Oh, we couldn't get a warrant because, yeah, no one said they were harming. You see the neighbor after the fact. I should have said they were hurting them, like, just so they could go in and check on them. But why should you have to go to those lengths? But I was relieved, because it did look like no one tried. But apparently there were calls made. They did call the police. People were trying, but the police decided not to intervene. And I wonder how often that does happen.
No, that was fine. At least people did try and call. My issue is if little Nene down the street get the folks called on her, and it's not this proximity in this neighborhood and this well-do couple and YouTube and all this status, we're gonna bust down the door to try to take her children. But just because it was this person, we couldn't get in there. The kids looking emaciated in the windows and left alone for long periods of time. We just don't have, we can't, because she could never be putting her children in danger.
It's there's a difference, and I've seen it on both hands. I've seen, like we talked about before offline, there's people that are supposed to be mandatory reporters who don't report. There are people who are supposed to be in the space to
Let
tell.
me not send them kids in there to school for 2 weeks to see what happened. See how much time they give me.
Oh my Lord! Listen, put you under the jail. That's what they gonna do. think Tatiana said it earlier in the chat that if this was a person of color, they would be under. There would be no this. It would have never gotten this far. Y'all watch Peach Mac. Well, some people watch Peach McIntyre. At least you've heard of her if you're in the YouTube space. Then people done call CPS on Peach 18 times. 18 or more times where she's got to take all them seven, she got a husband and 7 kids, 9 kids now. They've called CPS and CPS comes out every single time, come into her house, have to look around, have to check. And she's not even doing anything, unfit. And so to think that she had 2.8 million, whatever, and at no point was she investigated by Child Protective Services when they saw and heard the things that they did. I mean,
all the comments and this is unfit. Somebody go save the children, and it just seems like there was so much proof. And then you have the neighbors. Well, I can't say yay or nay, but it seems like, girl, no, they in there. They're being unkept. Go save those children. Yeah, I saw her. Ain't seen nothing. I saw her.
Listen. Because all about the safety of some children, you say what you got to say, like at least to somebody to put their eyes on them. So yeah, secret lovers is
We're
what
going
we
to the
are.
back door. I don't got time to wait for y'all. I'm working in here.
Listen, pop a window out, but secret lovers, because they ain't never home. So as soon as they get everybody out who could encumber their romance, which is I'm saying alleged because we don't know it to be facts, but it gave that's your woman. The way they were jet skiing and she was holding on tight like she was on the back of her hog riding down the street. I'm listen, do what you do. But you had to punish them children because y'all wanted to pocketbooks and scissor all night. You did not have to enlist these children in the drama. You didn't have to take out your guilt or whatever shame on them because this is what you wanted. But Tyra, what was the draw? What was the draw? You wanted some cootie that bad? You wanted Jody Cootie? I don't get it. I don't.
Girl,
it's a power dynamic.
If she want to hang out with Eileen Wuornos in her leisure time, that is her business. That is her business. If you are attracted to Eileen, girl, that's your business. This is all projecting because you're ashamed that, and who knows how long. This is probably something this is something that she wanted to enact on, maybe since she maybe always knew who she was and that she did prefer women, but this was something that isn't accepted in the Mormon culture. So we had to make 12 U-turns and abuse our kids and do this and isolate them and put our husband here and there to where now, okay, this is our house and this is the house, like, put all these fences up and be guarded and just become this despicable human being just so you could have a secret lover. Like this is sad. Mm-hmm. This is really, really sad. And it just begs the question what she was told and deprived of, early on in her little childhood and age and upbringing, just for her to think that these were the lengths she needed to go. But it was just always constant projecting. And my husband's going to suffer, Chad's going to suffer, Sherry's going to suffer, all the way down to my children because these are the things I'm doing. It seemed like in her sick mind, it was her kind of paying for her sinning, but it was through the children. Mm-hmm. And we get into, those letters and stuff, and there needed to be pain. They needed to feel it. They need to, I'm repenting through my children for my sins being with her. You're freaking insane. And I think that's how she wrapped it up in her mind to where things are acceptable because this is what I need to do. Like somebody has to suffer for me looking on Eileen Wuornos. I got somebody, us giving massages by candlelight and stuff in this room. Someone needs to suffer. Why not my children? I'm going to project all of this to make it make sense in my mind.
Absolutely. And yeah, see, Brandon, we kind of touched on that a little bit. They thought Jody truly had the power of God because she knew when Chad was lying. Yeah. But I still don't think it makes that box, special. But but there is a whole psychology of people sleeping with people who they believe are close to God, thinking that in some way that makes them closer to God. She never gave godly to me. So now that everybody is out, they're bumping pocketbooks regularly. They have their own life. Now they have to inflict harm on the 2 youngest babies. The other 2 are still going to school, but she has pulled the youngest 2 out of school so that they can be homeschooled and they can just be abused. So ultimately, we find out that she was locking these babies away in the basement of, you always gonna call that lady Eileen. Jody's lush estate, honey, because when I say it was lush, it was like 13 bedrooms, whatever, a beautiful space in the desert. She had them locked up because they were full of the devil. They were both demonized, right? And we'll get into some deeper things on the back end that I just found out yesterday. But basically, she would have them stand in the sun all day holding weights in the desert sun, stripped down. She would have them bound with saran wrap duct tape around their ankles, around their wrists so that they couldn't move. And once they were bleeding and they had to take it off, she had a cayenne pepper and honey mixture that she would rub into this baby's wounds because that wasn't good enough. When they finally find him, well, they don't find him. The baby actually escapes. I don't know. It had to be the Lord on his side, some angels or something, because I don't know how he got out of that compound. I don't know how he got out of them locked rooms that they had him in. But he makes his way over to an elderly neighbor's house, and this man on the 911 y'all
Oh,
call could not even keep it together. He said there is this boy, 12 years old. And the baby came over and was like, "Can you take me to the nearest police station?" And y'all, it wasn't because he wanted help. He thought he was wrong. And so he needed to turn himself into the police, y'all. And just watching this baby, he's emaciated. Like they said he was what, 70 pounds or something like that. He's walking up there just like, can I have some water first? Can I? And it's so bad. Even the old man is breaking down on the 911 call. His wife is pacing back. They need to get here now. Like we need to get here now to save this baby, y'all. It was so heartbreaking. And you hear this little voice, can you help me? Can you help me? And so now the police decide they want to come. And I said, any other time y'all knocking down doors and doing all that, knock that hoe's door down. Go over there to Jody's house and knock the door down. And so they get over to Jody's house. I'm on the phone with my lawyer right now. I don't give a damn. Snatch her and put her on the ground. Put your knee in her back and go and see who's in here. And so they get in there. They're going all through. She's got secret safe rooms, and they find the bloody supplies that they had used to change his dressing. They found the cayenne honey mixture. They find the little girl with her head shaved, who's catatonic, who won't speak to anybody. She's afraid to talk. Again, they've been made to believe that they are demon possessed. Ultimately, the police find Ruby's journal. And in this journal, she is detailing everything she's ever done to them in terms of torture, which they didn't even read it all to us. And I didn't even bother to find the court transcripts because I don't want to know all of it. But the fact was that she said, "I will unalive them rather than have a demon in my child. I will take them out of here, whatever it takes. The punishment's got to be severe, and I'm going to keep doing it." Tyra, talk to me about this baby. And he saved himself.
this her in these things with her children of putting 10 on 20 as far as punishment, it just escalated from Sherry to Chad. As the younger the child go, the more the punishment escalated because her behavior was escalating and whatever she was doing with Jody was escalating, and it just manifests her demons manifested mentally for her within her children, and it's resulting in this despicable punishment. Like I this was punishment, and I think she took it up this far because they were always problematic. There was always something manifesting in them, but you guys have the nerve to be hanging out the window when we're not home and we leave you alone for extended periods of time where neighbors can see you and question our parenting. Yeah, I will make sure you never do that again.
Mm-hmm.
You never do it. And we do this to these children. Like, she was going to kill these children.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's no doubt in my mind how he looked. He was going to be gone in probably in a couple weeks, if that.
She had every right in her mind to kill the demon, kill these children, and then what else? What was it going to manifest into next, Ruby? Because this was your way of manifesting your own sins, what you feel were sins, into your own children. And when you are inherently feeling like you're sinning and these are your demons, like, I got to kill these demons, these need to go, and you're projecting this harsh, like, despicable punishment, these painful scenarios onto your own babies. Like, this was so sad. This was so sad. And it was just like, if y'all had kicked this heifer's door down the first time,
That part.
when Sherry tried to call or the neighbors tried to call, however many times, like, they wouldn't even be here. Like, how much how much proof do you need? What did you need to do? Like, if this baby didn't advocate for himself, he would have been dead along with that sister.
For sure.
And for them to get there and still, I didn't even like how they approached the home. Like, it's despicable because we see so many scenarios, especially with minorities, to where there isn't any care, there isn't any need to de-escalate the situation to where somebody's not walking away heavily injured or dead, but we let Jody get out of my house. What are you doing on my porch? This is my house. I was like, bust down this hole. Like, what are we doing? Put this hole on the ground. What? How much? What do you need to see? Like, there just needed to be so much evidence in Ruby's case, and I was like, yeah, must be freaking nice. Like, well, this is insane that we had to even escalate to this point with how frantic that man was on that call. It reminded me of, I don't remember the story, the name of the black boy who was adopted by the two
White
gay
women who drove
women.
off the bridge with
Yes.
their kids. Yeah.
And that neighbor made that phone call, and he sounded just like this man here. And we still didn't infer. We still didn't do anything. She still had time to lollygag and gather those children to where she even drove them off the bridge. Like, this was just very, very heartbreaking. And it was at least a glare of hope that even however he got here enough for him as well as his sister to be rescued, because they were going to die.
Yeah. And now it's to what end? And of course we'll get into it. But Hype Green, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Listen, these Mormons about the gays. Have y'all heard of the show My Husband's Not Gay? I have, and I've watched segments. It's an old show. I want them to bring it back, because when I tell you the mess ensued, basically it's pray the gay away. These are all women who have husbands who like the same gender, and they have parties. They have a little group that they all hang out with, and yeah, this is part of their, I guess, is it considered conversion therapy? But yes, I have seen a few episodes. I haven't watched it in its entirety. I think it has 1 or 2 seasons, maybe. It was on TLC. But yeah, and Tyra ain't over there in the reality streets like that. Thanks again for another
Weird about the game.
Hype Green. Listen, I gotta give you some applause.
Oh, now she hits buttons.
Weird about the gays. They very much are anything but that. If y'all haven't seen the show Big Love, go watch that.
Big Love.
Because Albie, oh yeah, is that his name, Albie, on the show? Yeah, you'll get your whole thing, but that's more fundamentalist. I don't want to lump everybody together, but there is this sick idea of what happens here stays here, and I think in really religious communities and in cults, you'll find that often that they don't tell. Whatever happens, it happens. They handle that. That's not our business. We're going to keep it over here. But we praise God that this baby saved himself and found a way to get help. So now they've been arrested. And I say, don't ever let these hoes out. They've been arrested. Ruby is very odd when they arrest her. I said, is she on the dope as well? They're not just bumping pocketbooks, but they might be doing illicit narcotics as well, allegedly, in my mind, okay? Because they're arrested. She doesn't make a statement at all. They're like, okay, are you good? And the lady pissed me off, the detective, so delicate with her. Well, yeah. No, I'm not going to tie it too tight, you see?
Everybody was extremely delicate, extremely accommodating.
After you see what she did to this baby, you're like, that's what we're doing? Oh, all right. And so we get her to the station. She still hasn't said a word. They're, bringing the allegations to her. I'd like my lawyer. And that's what she says. Then on the other side of the interrogation, we see Jody, and she's like, I want to tell you, because I really have nothing to hide, Tyra. I really have nothing to hide. But my lawyer says, I shouldn't. I don't really know who you people are. And they kept saying that. Kevin says, I don't really know who you are. Jody says that. Is this some sort of delusion? Y'all are at the police station, but you don't know who these people are? Like, what did you think about their arrests and kind of these initial interrogation, at least the piece that we were able to see?
I felt the same about the arrests. Like, they saw the state of those children, clearly what they had been doing for quite some freaking time, and yet and still, we're not on the ground. We didn't put a knee on her neck or in her back or aggressively arrest her, or even give her a toot or two. We didn't even. There was no pressure applied. It was like, well, what we're gonna do is, it's like, okay, it's to be expected. We're not surprised. These shots of these blonde.
Bad built beach blonde beside.
I hate it, especially Ruby. She has that face, that same face, that Casey face, that Amy face,
Mhm.
that those blondes who commit these heinous crimes and the crime never fits the punishment and we get off. We
Mhm.
get off so easily and we spend a little time served and then we're back out in population like nothing ever happened, living our best
Oh,
life. And we're constantly giving second chances. Like it's just despicable. These shots they didn't they didn't do anything for me. The arrests were just the arrest, but it's like how exactly how long are they going to get put away? Is she going to get off on an insanity plea? Like you have to really consider these things now with cases like this and how we're gonna are we just going to detain them? Is it going to be time served? Are they going to get off easy? Is she going to get 3 to 5? Like what is it? Because we never once again like with her behavior, the punishment never fits the crimes with these situations.
yeah. And
There's
I
always a oh, no, go ahead, Ashley.
oh no, you're good. You said it's always a
There's always like a loophole or something to where we can consider so heavily their mental state and whatever it was that got them to the point to do that to their children. And there's always a sense of even when they do, they still don't care. But even in this case, it was just a little child abuse. Nobody died.
yeah, yeah,
Nobody died.
that's the
Like how what it's just a little everybody, does, nobody died. These children are still alive and breathing. So how much punishment should she really get? Like
yeah,
a lot.
a lot. Yeah.
She
No,
was going like, why isn't the charge attempted murder? Because that's what this was.
that's what it was. I mean, let's keep it real. Not 4 or 5 counts of child abuse. Vodka. Have y'all seen Casey Anthony's? Yeah, I did. She started her own organization, to help people,
Yeah.
save people. Girl, Casey, what are you doing? Go
Yeah.
directly somewhere. Like nothing ever happened. But you find that in this space. I've
Mhm.
seen people convicted of heinous crimes build a social media platform now, have followers. Oh, yeah, everybody can change. I mean, some people say Gypsy is an example of that. There's this one guy who chopped somebody up and he has this huge TikTok making all this
Mhm.
money on the platform. Now
Yeah.
Casey Anthony's out just trying to help other parents. Like, girl, be FFR. Like, what are we doing in life right now? Like, what
I
what has
I
everything
think it's
evolved to?
it's it's because there will always be a divide and an undertone of people maybe mimicking Kevin. We know her. Like she would there has to be some type of misunderstanding. Oh, this is propaganda. There's no way she did that. You can have all the proof in the world. These children can probably say it out of their mouths, and somebody's gonna go, that's not what this is.
I think we as people have like this inherent need to make something make sense when sometimes there are things that just don't make sense. And
Yeah.
I think we have to understand that people are who they show us to be. There's no going back for me with either of these heifers because what you've done is unconscionable. It's unconscionable. And complicit Kevin, you should be under the jail as well. You should have got 2 to 5 at the very least, because what real man
Oh man.
is going to leave at the word of some heifer who came into your life willy nilly? You're going to leave your 6 children alone with this unhinged woman who you know is unhinged. You knew Ruby was a disaster. You just been going along with it, and supposed to be educated. Like you went to school. You got a doctorate in something. I don't know what it is, but you're there, and the fact that you got in this room after you are given the details of everything, and I mean they broke it down to him level by level. Like, let me show you what your son looks like. Well, no, I don't. Who are you? Like, I don't think I can believe you, because Ruby called me before this and told me to come down here and pick up my kids because she's in some mess and she's being falsely accused. She's the victim. It couldn't be not Ruby. Ruby? Ruby would do this to my son, to my daughter? No. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you don't know. And you're sorry for not knowing, because why haven't you talked to your kids in over a year? You haven't talked to them, Kevin? I was serving my punishment. I was doing what I needed to do to reunite with my family. I was working hard in my 1 bedroom apartment and I was sending the money back. I was sending the money back. That's all I needed to do, Tyra. Is he complicit and should he be under the jail with them? What do you think of Kevin at this point?
Awfully complain. I don't know what in the apple cider is going on here. I don't know what's happening here. This was insane. I think at some point, and I don't know why, but you just want to have faith as a parent that someone was going to eventually vouch for these children, and maybe it's going to take for him to physically see it in black and white who his wife is and exactly what she did to you and to your children from a second, third party, the police, somebody to go, I need to wake up. I need to protect my kids. There was nothing. He was so happy to just get that phone call. He was, oh yes, I'm gonna go down there because she knew she could. She knew she could. Like, you're that much in the pocket. There should have never been anything expected of Kevin once he, well, she said I couldn't talk to, well, at least I could still talk to Chad. I still had that, but I couldn't talk to Sherry. She said we couldn't talk to her, so we cut her out.
Because you're
It was extremely sad, and he was never for those children. Not a one of them. None of them. He was never for those children. He was for whatever that lifestyle afforded him when they got the money in the YouTube, and he was for that woman. It was our relationship and our sex life, and we were rejuvenated. We were back, and whatever I have to do, and if she wants me to sit here and she wants to build a platform off of us, a couple in a relationship and us giving advice, and we can do that. Whatever. If you want me to work out, gain some weight, and muscle up, I just want her to be proud of me and see me as a man and a husband and a partner. Everything just to satisfy her. He had no desire to protect himself or his children, which is extremely sad. When he sat there, when that lady put those photos in his face, and she said exactly what the kids had been through, the cayenne, the duct tape, everything. He's just like, what are you talking about? Lies. Lies. Not Ruby. Why are you saying these things to me? Like, to be that heavily in denial is sick. This is a very, very sick man, and I was like, well, before he even got, I was like, don't get them children to that man. Don't give them children to that to nobody here. Like, don't do it. They're no safer with him than they were with her. Like, just don't, because who's to know or see what would he do if she told him to? Like, no, just absolutely not.
Whatever you want him to.
It was devastating. It was devastating.
Absolutely. And so now, they've gone through everything. They pled guilty to all the counts, with a heavy heart. And Ruby pulled out the WW tears, as they'll do. And they're found guilty, minimum of 4 years up to 30. Because I had to run that back and go look up the article of the actual judgment, because I said, what that mean? Like, up to 40 years? So that means they could literally be out in 2027. This happened in 2023. They could be out by 2027.
Yeah.
After all of this, 4 years, 4. So they're up for parole at that time. And assuming good behavior, they could literally be out. And depending on overcrowding and all of these other factors, I wouldn't be surprised. They'll be back on the internet 2027.
Yeah. Yeah, this is despicable. Like I said, the punishment will never fit the crime. Even if she had killed those children, I don't see this being any different. I don't know what we're supposed to do with 4 to 30. Like, we know what this is. We've seen it so many times. They're going to do that 3 to 5 years, and they're getting out to go on and live their lives like nothing ever happened. They can go and reinvent themselves, even get another platform and gain money again. Like, this is insane. Why are we giving so many chances to these broads? This is sick, but I'm not surprised.
Hey, J Buggin 88, thanks so much for the $10 super chat. Have you guys seen the case of a couple of weeks ago with the black woman? She left her 3 kids home alone for 5 years. I wonder what she would do or say to the kids to get them to stay inside. I can't imagine, J Buggin. I saw this on TikTok, and that house.
I saw this.
Babies were living in.
No, this pissed me off because I don't know, something's wrong with the public. I saw people blaming the eldest, like, well, why didn't he just
clean up? What do you mean?
I just saw too much of that, and it made me have to walk away and leave this alone. But I will be interested to see what punishment we give this woman versus what we just handed out to these two.
Oh, she'll get life. She'll probably get 3 life sentences.
She'll get life. Mm-hmm. This is sad, and this is all just pissing me off. I don't know why I decided to go down the rabbit hole with I think her name is Naziah case.
Oh, Jesus.
This baby. I didn't know anything about it. It just popped up on my thing last night, and I just started researching and going through The
the
Jarvis
one.
man. I was like,
That's the one given away by her mama, living with her auntie and grandma, and they let this man come in and violate her every single night and ride in the car. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And she thought she was pregnant by this grown a man who was an SA offender. Like
yeah, multiple times.
knew multiples, his own children.
I'm just disgusted.
The fact that we could have a whole channel just covering these types of
Yeah,
situations is sickening to me,
don't
Tom.
give them no ideas, Ashley.
I'm just saying.
Because we could. Unfortunately, these are the I couldn't even see myself like talking about this stuff all the
Me either.
time. This is sick. But let's see if that mother gets 4 years.
I told you she gonna get 3 life sentences. Watch, it's gonna be. Oh yeah, we gotta put her away forever. So where are they now? And then, like I said, I might have a surprise slide at the end because, like I said, it's just 2 days ago I found out about this. But where are they now? Sherry is going on with her life. She is at every hearing to this day. Kevin does not, in fact, have custody of these kids. He is in court right now, actually trying to get custody of the younger children.
Mhm.
Well, the older. Well, we'll talk about it. And Chad is influencing, living on his own. Again, they are trying to. He's trying to, I think, reconcile with himself what's true, what's not. He still doesn't have a hatred or bitterness or disdain for his mother. And I don't want you to, hate her per se, but I was
Hate her
expecting for
ass.
him to have more emotion around what happened to his siblings. And it just didn't land. Sherry gonna be all right. I think, is Sherry married? I don't know. She's going on about her life. I was actually wondering if she was gonna try to get custody
Yeah.
of the smaller children. And then Kevin, I don't give a damn about you, Kevin. He did divorce her. I think that like later, early 2024, I think he
Mhm.
divorced Ruby. But really, I don't even know what that was, probably so she could get some benefits. I bet you he's still putting money on her books, Tyra.
Ah, I hope Sherry is okay. Like I said, there seems to be an underlining with Sherry also. Naturally, I'm sure with all the kids where there's, so much trauma and healing to be had. And to be that close knit and 8 passengers, even her closing remarks on, even when she says, like, that lady, that's not my mom. This is who I know, as my mom. So there was a light to where she saw her as something. But to know that that's all gone, and how do you ever kind of get back what was stolen when there was, no quorums with just cutting you off and exiling you from the family? Like,
Mhm.
that's, I don't even know how we come back from that. And not even just that, but even now, Chad is just, I don't even like Chad being an influencer. Like, it still kind of feels like him holding on to something that once was, and like, this is all I know how to do.
Mhm.
This is all, like, let me just try it. I don't even like that. I would hope that he would find something and just kind of be out of the public eye. But he, like, I don't even want to go watch, but I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you doing on your platform? Like, chat does not seem okay in the slightest. It seems like he's really still like, oh, this really happened, so I was like, he's still just kind of, in the wilderness, and it's going to take him a whole lot more time than maybe more so Sherry. And there isn't any, like, oh, I've been, with my sister Sherry and we've been supporting. It's just like, it still seems to be a line drawn to where he hasn't fully crossed over to go, I need to go and consort and console my sister, and we need to support each other because this is all we have. And this is all we probably ever had. I just didn't know it at the time. Don't get them children to Kevin.
Please don't.
Don't give those children to Kevin. Throughout the entire doc, that was just reflecting on, the way we were. No acknowledgement of her behavior, the distasteful things she did before they ever got there. She was a woman with $1 and a dream and a plan, and she picked me, and I got confidence, and we had this journey. He had more smoke, more so for Jody, and we know why.
Mhm.
We know why there was so much smoke for Jody, and we had those things to say as far as her impact on the family and what she brought in, the energy and the possession and whatever. But we never had a bad thing to say about our wife. It was just our wife, and something was stolen from me. That man don't mean them kids himself anybody any good. Don't get them kids to that man. Now, they never actually said, I'm sure it's for protective reasons, where the kids are,
Oh, I
or
got it. We'll talk about it in the
uh,
next slide. I got it.
please, they better
I
not be with that man.
I got it. But no, you're absolutely right. The onus was put squarely on the shoulders of Jody. And while Jody was a predator and an opportunist, like I said before, this was in Ruby. Can't nobody make you do this and it's not already in you to do. Like I just that's why I always say I'll never say what somebody won't do because I don't know. I don't know what people are capable of. I know in this instance though, it wasn't just Jody. Ruby decided those were her kids. At the end of the day, damn a Jody, these are your babies that you pushed out, ma'am. And the idea that, yeah, it's beyond me. And so from inside the Pinta, okay, Ruby's still torturing and tormenting. And I have a clip here and I'm going to play
Ruby
it
Franke
next.
appeared
This is from a TikToker. And I think her name is, let me get it big, y'all, so I can see it. Let me pull it up on my phone because I want to give credit where credit is due. And if you wanted to go over on the TikTok and check her out because she's been covering them at nauseum. Julie Louise underscore 1995. And I'm going to play this
in
clip.
court yesterday
And this
over
is just from
custody
2
hearing
days
for her
ago.
4 children. And what she said was shocking, to say the least. Ruby Franke attended the hearing
Trigger
through
warning.
a video call as she is in jail right now. Her husband, Kevin, was also there sitting with his lawyer, and apparently their daughter, Sherry, may also have been in attendance. Ruby unfortunately threw both of her youngest children under the bus. She basically said that the two of them have been inappropriate with one another, and that apparently she's claiming that Russell, her youngest son, was also inappropriate with at least 20 other children. She says it was neighbors and cousins, although there have been absolutely no accusations from anyone other than Ruby. Now, of course, Jody Hildebrand's niece has also come forward, stating that Jody Hildebrand had also accused her niece of the same situations. Because Ruby made these accusations, however, the judge had to deem Russell unfit to be in a home with other children, which means they are now in custody of DCFS, the 4 youngest children. They are now not going to be able to be together. Russell will not be able to be with his other siblings or any other children in whatever home he's placed for temporary custody.
Yep. So how freaking chaos inside the Pinta? Girl, I fell out when I saw that. It brought tears to my eyes because you ain't done enough. And if that's true, where did they see those behaviors? And where were the 20 neighborhood kids that he was even around? Nothing of the sort makes sense. And for the judge to make that ruling,
Well, why do kids have to suffer?
because
Why do the kids have to suffer? I would think that you would take that information, true or not, because whatever it is, if this is the same household that'll push or condone that type of behavior, then penalize you for it. Even if that's the case, I really think she's lying and
I do
she's trying
too.
to get payback beyond the grave. Why would we take that and go, let's get these kids whatever they need, let's get them proper help, proper counseling, properly housed, and really invest in we just girl.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So now he can't be with any of his siblings at all. He can't even be around children. This was a torture thing. That's why I didn't buy her whole, oh, I'm so sorry. I was, under a delusion. The wrong person came into my life and influenced me. No, you want to cause harm. You haven't caused enough harm. And so this will probably be her justification for why she did what she did. But again, like I said, if that happened, where did he see it at?
These are just the last of like we've been saying, the theme of punishment with her and needing somebody to pay at this particular moment due to her circumstances. Those are the last in the ways that she can manipulate to punish anybody, and I think she took advantage of that at the expense of her own children. This is disgusting. I would think with everything she did, like, why are we taking her anything as gold?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Doesn't she lose or relinquish her parental rights? Why does she have standing in the court to speak on anything? And how can her word be trusted when she's been lying? She lied for a year at least a year
Oh,
that
shoot,
we know
I've been
of.
lying a long time. Like, this is disgusting and it's really disturbing.
Mm-hmm. Because you decided to phone a friend from jail to say that just so your baby boy can't be around people because he's the one who exposed you.
And then
Oh,
it's not even just him, just all the kids. Like now we're all just, oh, we can't because who knows? They could all have those tendencies and learned behavior. We can't trust them around anybody else. Or it isn't even like, well, let's get them some counseling. Let's
really?
maybe put them into a situation where they're just for safety reasons until we know what's what. There aren't any other children in the home, but it's still like something. Wow.
Yeah,
That was abrupt and it doesn't seem to make any sense to me. But what makes sense in these courts these days? I don't know.
at all. Not at all. Well, you guys, that was Devil in the Family, the fall of Ruby Frank, the docu series. Yeah, that was so disheartening when I saw that. I said, "My God,
Thank you, Dominic. I do what I can. Um,
what did he say? What did I
he
say?
said I look cute.
Go,
Um, I was looking at Hyper Green. Hyper Green, we not even finna get over on there with her and them doomsday tendencies. That was some malarkey. Also, we thought the world was gonna end.
Oh,
So
like you still believe it, Kevin? Yeah, I do. I do.
girl,
I do. I believe it. I believe.
anything to justify these horrific situations. What's to justify now? Because you're behind bars starting chaos, and once again, there's nobody in these children's corner to vouch for them.
At all. At all. Yeah. And I don't know where the 20 other kids came from. Cousins. Where were these cousins during the doc? We didn't see them around any
Mhm.
other. She had them secluded.
Yeah.
Again, she's trying to perpetrate her narrative. That lady did what she did. She meant to do it. And if she
Mhm.
gets out and gets around them kids, she'd do it again.
No.
Anakin says, does she have friends inside the legal system or juggled a few balls? Listen,
Man, look, it
I'm
never ceases to amaze me what connections you may feel like. I don't even buy into that anymore because some of these situations you're like, oh, they have to know somebody. Unfortunately, due to status and complexion, sometimes they don't have to know a fucking person. This is just what it is. The same reason they got that low sentence.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Jay Buggin 88 for the $5 super chat. Y'all have been showing out tonight. Let me give you my what you call it. Let me get Thank you so much for the support in the supers tonight. We love it. Y'all know we appreciate it. You know we really, really do. We love a cute coin.
I thought you say, we poor.
Thank you for the $5 super chat. Have y'all seen Evil Lives Here on Max? This woman's friend roommate was poisoning her with insulin and more stuff and got 4 to 20 years. Jay Buggin, did she have a kid that the roommate wanted? If so, I know that story. If there's no kid involved, I don't know it.
Lord, no. I thought that was about to be the situation with the college student and the roommate, tainting her items. This
Oh,
is something totally different. Totally different. It's so many. One time for our, maybe we need to have a weekly, segment where we just
gosh.
talk about events, worldly events, because they're here in abundance, unfortunately.
There's a ton going on. Ruby still has money and she's using it from prison to cause. I'm trying to see where she got all this bread from because YouTube dried up. It's
Did you see the home? Did you see the home in Arizona?
I did. And I
It
said,
was
what
so
are you using
beautiful.
vagabonds for? But on the inside, it looked crazy as hell. She had
Yeah.
stuff stacked up. And I'm like, what are you? And that's what Kevin said. No, we're getting back together. They said Ruby was moving. Ruby was packing her duffel bag and she was leaving. She left you.
She
What
packed
Christina
some of
do?
your things. She packed her things and some of yours and left.
I love Christina.
Oh,
Yeah, she was moving. So I don't know what delusion or demons that these people really have. Like I said, I believe people can be oppressed by influences. But this didn't give these people are just straight up evil from the pits.
still has money
Hell.
using it from prison to do more damage. Well, don't they seize and like freeze assets and do like they don't do that with? She don't get that.
Ugh. They had to go. Yeah. And Forward is not going to do justice. I know there are campaigns online to really go after her and make sure she stays in the Pinta, she and Jody, because and that's the doc I'd really be interested in, the other families who Jody has impacted. Because like I said, she was running the men's off.
Girl,
They was lusty
did you,
demons. They had
did
to
you
confess
see
all
the
their sins
men in
to
the
all
dock being seen and not heard all the time?
listen. You sit down and you shut up. you don't say a word.
Because even though they were just dispelling all of the, and Jody and Ruby, they were just so, and we saw these things. I signed up. We signed up for the course, and it was like, something's not right here.
Right.
But we went, for years. We were all close, and the husband was just,
She said, yeah, but then we had to stop. Yeah. That was all the husband's postures. Like, yeah.
no, what the husband went in text and said, and I got a text from such and such said, Kevin, you can't abandon your family.
And I found out I was blocked. But the
I was blocked. I was blocked.
But y'all, that was it. But before we go, if you guys don't know about the collective Discord, head on over there, y'all. It's a good time. The Discord is always fun, always a good time. And I think we're almost up to 125 people over there. Like, what?
You like us. You really like us.
Growing and glowing. And consider a membership, because every Saturday night we have a members only watch along blockbuster movie night. And this week is my choice. I am going to play that for you guys, and we'll be right back to let you know what else we have planned.
Oh, how can I answer that? The topic is Haiti, and she's talking about some little party. Hello, it was his 50th birthday.
You ain't never seen a trip like this. Heaven at your fingertips. Don't you let a minute slip. Just say you.
Mr. Hall, how can I answer that? The topic is Haiti, and she's talking about some little party. Hello, it was his 50th birthday.
It's magic when they should average day spent on the streets. Frantic when they tell you what you need. Demonstrate intimate memories. Let the time give you
TP, where you been, Penny? We ain't seen you all night, TP.
This isn't a liar.
We'll be watching Clueless this Saturday night, so join us. But we have so many other things in store. Tyra, let the people know what we got going on.
So y'all, tomorrow is Thursday. It will be an open watch along, and we are watching Dead Presidents. I am so excited because your girl Ashley has never seen Lawrence Tate in all his glory and the cast of it all. She ain't seen it, so it's going to be a really, really reactionary good time, because Dead Presidents will take you there, and Ashley gonna be there, and we get to see it all in color tomorrow. All these posts, everything, these links are things, they're up. Just go cut the notifications on. We are getting into Raising Kanan, y'all. Raising Kanan is back like it never left, and we cannot wait to talk about it. Have some new faces, some guests, and some things as we get into all things I Hate My Mother. That's going to be a good time. Be sure to check for all things Beauty in Black and Tyler Perry, because, child, it's all coming this week, and y'all already know how Tyler be acting on the ones and twos. That's going to be really, really interesting. So be sure to go and put the notifications on for that, to join Ashley and I for that. But tomorrow, come back, because we getting into Dead Presidents.
Lord, be there or be square. Y'all know what it is, but we appreciate y'all being here. Thank you. I know this is sensitive subject matter, but y'all showed up and showed out tonight, and we appreciate it. Drop documentary recommendations in the comment section, not in the chat, but after this live, go and drop some recommendations in the comment section of any docs or true crime things that you'd love us to talk about, and maybe we will make it a day out of the week. So, but thank y'all for being here, and we will see y'all in the next video.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door. He's got duct taped around each ankle. He's obviously covered in wounds.